Welcome my viewers. As I had promised on my Facebook page, now here we go, so that we can start our program. And I welcome all of you to come and participate in this particular program. And it is my hope that it's going to benefit you. My name is Dr. Paul Kibicho. As most of you people know, my name is Dr. Paul Kibicho. I'm a trained financial and business consultant, and I've been doing this for the last now 28 years. I started working on 21st September 1992, and I'm happy that God has brought me this far. Our discussion today, as I had promised to those people who normally follow me on WhatsApp, is that we need to discuss about what we call finances. And finances, in my 28 years, finances has been an issue to a number of people. And it is equally important that I get to make people understand that finances can be easy. It's a very nice topic. I have done a research on finances for quite a long time. I'm not going to discuss about public finances. I want to make it very, very clear. I'm going to discuss to you matters pertaining to what we call personal finance. Because I believe that I'm reaching all of you individually, wherever you are. And I hope that by the end of this particular session, you'll actually like what we shall have discussed. For those people who want to watch me live, once again, they go to Dr. Paul Kibicho, PhD, Facebook page. And I believe that majority of you will really appreciate. Now, when it comes to matters personal finance, I want first of all, as a teacher, because I do lecture in the university, as some of you may be aware, that is at Tagasa University. I normally teach there 4 units. It's important that you get to know how do people make money, because we can't talk about investments without first of all appreciating where people make money from, or where does money come from in the first place. So money comes in so many ways. Number one, we have people who make money, through what we call self-employment. Those are the people who don't appear anywhere in anybody's payslip, meaning they don't have an employer. But basically what they do is that they work or using their own hands, using their own resources, and they exert what we call energy and brains to make money. Those are people who are actually called self-employed. We have other people who are employed. Those people who are employed, they have what we call a payslip. As we continue with this particular discussion, I'll make those people who are actually employed understand how a payslip behaves. And of course, those people who make their own money, how they make that money. Now, so we are talking about personal finance. It's a very, very unique topic. And therefore, I call upon you people who are watching me this time loud. I can see I've got quite a number of people watching me. I thank God for that, including my former principal, Mr. Sixtus Museum Maduko. What I would request you is that get a paper and a pen, because ordinarily this education I normally charge when people come to my office. But I'm now giving it to you people for free. It is actually part of what we call corporate social responsibility, though at personal level. So, what is personal finance to start with? Personal finance is basically that money that is called yours individually. And now, without first of all categorizing the two categories of clusters of people or cadres of people, formal and informal, let me first of all make people understand why we work. Why do we work? Why do I report to work every morning? Why do you work every morning? So all of us people, we work to make money. Whether you are a beggar on the streets, whether you are a teacher by profession, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a politician, whether you are actually a cobra, whether you are actually a fisherman, whether you're a truck driver, whether you are actually, whatever kind of business that you do, whether you're employed or not, we all work to make money. So first of all, we appreciate all of us. Wherever we are, wherever you're watching from, I can see some people watching from South Africa, Kina Josiah Karaoke. I'm very, very impressed. But what I'm saying is this basically, why do we work? Why do I wake up every day in the morning to go and work? So all of us people, we work to make money. And I'm telling you, the language or the currency in this world is money. Like at this point in time, majority of us Kenyans are very worried. One, because of coronavirus. Those people who make their daily bread by working maybe at Kibarua or maybe at a place that one has been given a chance to work in, they are actually at home, majority of them. Others, they have been told by the government to work at home. Fine, no matter what, we work to make money. Now, after we make money, after all of us people make money, then what after we make money? Now, we make money to create wealth. So all of us people, we make money to create wealth. And what is wealth? Remember I said personal finance, it is that money that belongs to you individually. It is that money where you exert energy and brains to make a coin. So basically what I mean is that we make money so that we can be able to create wealth. So creating wealth means we generate money that will be able to work for us, money working for us individually. You can't work forever. There comes a time when the energy levels goes down. There comes a time when things in life happen. Sometimes people become totally incapacitated. Others, by virtue of many things can happen. Ill health, retrenchment, we are aware about it in Kenya. So many things can happen. So we create wealth. Now, funny enough, so wealth is basically a financial foundation that can ensure that you continually get income from it without necessarily you using your energy now. It is called money working for you. I'll come to that at a certain point. Money working for you. And I'll teach you something. We have what we call passive investment and we have what we call active investment. We'll come to that in a short while. But first of all, let me emphasize why people work. So we work to make money. In the process of once we make that money, we now want to create what we call wealth. Now, funny enough, after we make money, there are three things or three situations that happen. There are those people who normally spend their money wisely. There are those people who spend all the money that they make. And there are those people who spend more than they make. Note that at the line. That number one, we have people, once you have made money, we have individuals or some group of people who actually spend their money wisely. We have others who spend all the money they make. Funny enough, we have others who spend more than they make. Now the question comes, now what creates a certain distinction between those three individuals? Number one, those people who normally use their money wisely, they save. And these are the people who later on become investors. Because of course you can't save money that you don't have. So those people who save their money, they become investors. And do you know why? Once they become investors, they eventually reach the ultimate pinnacle in life where all of us desire to go, which we refer to entering the highway of financial independence or financial freedom. But how many of us people watching me right now are financially independent? That even if you don't work for 1 month or 2 months or even 1 year, you're comfortable. You can pay your house rent, you can pay food, that is why you can be able to put food on the table, you can pay all the bills, all the amenities and what have you. How many of us are there? There are those people who spend all. One, they spend all because the income is not enough. But I want to make it categorically clear this evening that there is no money that is enough. Even the so-called, the richest men in the world, if I may mention the owner of, let's say, Microsoft, Bill Gates, even the late Steve Jobs, talk about Warren Buffett, talk about Carlos Slim, the richest telecommunication mogul from Mexico. They're still looking for money. They're still working for money. Let's come closer home. Dr. Mwagi of Equity, who was able to demonstrate philanthropy at its best by giving 300 million shillings towards the COVID-19. And he was able to mobilize even other partners that he works with, the MasterCard, to give the Kenya government 1.1 billion shillings as actually donation to help the COVID-19. But one thing that you must notice is that he's still working. He's still working at Equity Bank. Despite his vast wealth, he's still working. So I'll also maybe let you know as we move on, when is money enough? When is enough enough? So, okay, there are those people who spend all and they borrow. And I have no problem with people who borrow. We have what we call good borrowing and bad borrowing. And why am I taking you through this journey? It is because I'm a teacher, I must first of all create a foundation, a very strong foundation, preamble, so that when you're talking about investments, you already appreciate that how money is made. Now, there are those people who borrow. We have what we call good borrowing, and I'll first of all maybe dwell on what we call good borrowing. Good borrowing entails you take money, first of all, to take yourself back to school. I've taken myself back to school quite a number of times. And that is why I can be able to start in a platform like this and share this information because I have been trained. So my training is actually helping me to become a better person in life. There are those people who borrow money. They borrow money to start a business. Perfect. But I'll come to that as well. Because borrowing to start a business, we need to look at a few things. There are those people who borrow money to educate their children. There are those people who borrow money to build a house, or they borrow money, they take a mortgage loan. There are those people who borrow money to finance other projects that they have, but eventually we'll be able to help them maybe recoup back that principal that they put into that particular project. We'll look at that. What is bad borrowing? Bad borrowing, never borrow money for personal consumption. Never borrow money to go to South Africa for holiday. You see, the moment you take a flight from here to Jansmart International Airport in Johannesburg, that is in South Africa, there's no return. Okay, fine, you'll be happy. But there's no return on investment. Those are things that we look at as financial advisors and consultants. People borrow money to buy clothes. How much will be the return on investment? Zero. People borrow money for home improvement. You don't have to borrow money for what? For heaven's sake. Remember, there is an aspect of time. When you borrow money, you are given a certain duration to repay that particular loan. So you need to ask yourself, if I have borrowed 5 million or 2 million shillings, then how will I get back my principal? And of course some money which we refer to as interest out of that. So home improvement is not part of that. So I don't recommend that you borrow money to actually do what we call home improvement. What about borrowing money to buy a personal car? I have no problem buying, you viewers, buying a personal car. But you must have met the basics. What are those basics? You have a piece of land of your own. You have maybe a house of your own. You have got some investment that gives you returns. You have what we refer to as, you have been able to lay a certain foundation financially. So let me ask you a question. If you borrow money to buy a car, assuming you're 30 years of age, you have bought a personal car. This personal car has got 5 seats. You've been given a loan of 2 million shillings to repay within 5 years, and you're 30 years. So by the time you're clearing your loan repayment, remember that car will have depreciated so much. As a matter of fact, the car depreciates by 40% every year. So by the time that car, you're clearing paying that loan, that car will have depreciated so much that it can't even fetch back the same money that you bought it at. But remember, time has passed. You were 30, now you're 35. If you're employed by the government, you have 25 years to go before you retire. If you're actually working on your own, you can still now bring in the element of what you call the energy levels going down. So, and I've been telling people that borrowing money to buy a personal car, it doesn't make a lot of difference between you individually and somebody who was actually jailed at committed maximum prison for 5 years. The only difference is that you can access your spouse wherever you are. But in terms of passing time, time passes for both of you. So it is equally important when you're borrowing money. You're borrowing money that adds value to you, but not actually, never buy a car to surprise people for showbiz. For heaven's sake, I have never seen somebody growing bigger or becoming an important person by making other people happy. Furthermore, God never created you to become a puppet or rather to make other people happy. God created you with a divine purpose. And I've been telling people, you must realize what is your MDP. What is your major definite purpose? Why did God create you in the first place? There are those people who have been wandering in this world without knowing why God created them. People have never even known what their passion is in life. So those people who borrow money to buy a personal car, I don't recommend. But the moment, as per Mr. Hobbes from Henry Maslow in the hierarchy of needs and the theories of motivation, if you have been able, you have a house of your own, you have secured the education of your children, you have a piece of land, you have some investment that gives you returns either in money market or what we call generally collective investment vehicles, then I have no problem with you enjoying life. After all, you only live once. I also drive a good car, yes, I appreciate that, but I've met a few basics. So let's go to the other thing, to the other group of people. We have already discussed category 1 of people. Those people who use their money wisely, who save, they become investors, and actually they subscribe to what the Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes 11. Chapter 11, verses 1 to 4. Allow me to quote this Bible verse without necessarily looking at it. If you read the Good News Bible, there is a subheading that says, what a wise person does. And the Bible goes on to say, invest your money in foreign trade, for one of these fine days will make a profit. In fact, invest in several places because you do not know what tomorrow has for you. The first three, the Bible says, when a tree falls, it remains in the same direction that it fell. Let's come to the most critical point in the book, in the same verse, verse 4. The Bible says, if you wait for the winds and weather to be favorable for you to plant, you'll never plant, and therefore you'll reap nothing. Most of you people have been waiting for good times to come to have enough money to invest. Let me tell you, you'll never invest any money whatsoever if you waited for money to be enough. Remember, allow me to quote a man called Mr. Parkinson. Parkinson is a British man, an author, a great man. He says that human minds have the ability to create problems equivalent to the amount of money available. That's why you see, when somebody gets when somebody gets a salary increment, what they basically do, they had rented a house of 5,000 shillings. The next day you find them looking for a house that will be paying 15,000 shillings. Now, is there any economic mobility to you as an individual? You have actually made the landlord a happy person, but you remain in the same position that you were in before the increment. Why? The amount of money that the employer or maybe you made, which could have taken you to another level financially, you have actually given it to the landlord. So you are making the landlord realize his dreams while you are still at the treadmill. You are not making any financial progress. So please remember those people who are wise. And I want you people by the end of this discussion to become a wise person. Remember those who spared all. We have actually discussed and we have said it is not a good thing to eat all your money. Let me take you back to the Bible. In the book of Genesis 41, and I'm not preaching, though I'm a preacher. The Bible says in the book of Genesis 41, there was a man of God called Pharaoh. And this man of God called Pharaoh, he was shown a dream by God. And the dream surprises me as it did to him. As a matter of fact, he was shown 7 fat cows along the river Nile and 17 cows along the river Nile. And those 17 cows, they were eating the 7 fat cows. First of all, at that point, at what point did a herbivore feast on another herbivore? So the dream was strictly symbolic. This man of God called Pharaoh, this king called Pharaoh, he actually went the whole land of Egypt looking for the fortune tellers who could actually interpret the dream for him. Luckily, there was only one person, and the circumstances of this person finding himself in Egypt are quite peculiar. Very peculiar, very unusual. Remember, this man was actually sold to a foreign lad by his own brothers. And they actually lied to the father, that this man had actually been eaten by wild animals. Little did they know what was going to transpire thereafter. This man was called Joseph, who told Pharaoh, those 7 fat cows that you see along the river Nile, they represent 7 great years of bumper harvest. And the 17 cows that you see along the river Nile, they represent 7 great years of bumper, or of great hunger. So Joseph made a recommendation. And remember, again, this man called Joseph, he had seen a lot of problems. He had faced a lot of problems. Remember the Potiphar's wife. This man called Joseph, what he did, he told Pharaoh, during the 7 great years of bumper harvest, let us save a fifth of our harvest into our stores. And the purpose of that food that was being saved was to countercheck the 7 great years of great hunger. So the 17 cows, they represented 7 great years of hunger. And the 7 fat cows, they represented 7 great years of bumper harvest. Allow me to expound on this. When you have the energy, therefore, this is the time the Lord has given you to start thinking about your tomorrow. Because this is the only time that you have the energy. It is not going to last there forever. Remember, nothing lasts forever. So after Joseph made the recommendation, the King Pharaoh took it positively and he saved the food, 1/5 of the total harvest. And you know what? That food that the King Pharaoh saved out of the advice from this man called Joseph was able even to save the very brothers who sold him to the foreign land. That's why we say the stone that was rejected by the builders became the cornerstone. Hebu tafakari hayo. You have the energy now, you've been making money, but you have nothing to show. You have worked for 5 years, you have nothing to show. You have worked for 10 years, you have nothing to show. You have worked for 20 years, you have nothing to show. And this is where now this man called Mr. Albert Einstein said, the greatest form of madness is doing the same thing, same way, year in, year out, expecting different results. So why do you have to expect different results? We say new mindset, new results. So I want us to change. Let's go to this person who spends more money than he makes. As a matter of fact, I have done enough research. You'll be surprised. Remember, human wants are endless. No one has enough. Even this footballer mogul, this legend called, this guy who is actually feared by footballers all over the world called Messi, who actually mints money. he doesn't have enough as well. So there are people who spend more. And what makes people to spend more is this, I call it cosmetic connotation that tomorrow you will make more. But you have got no control over tomorrow. The only time you have control about, the only time and space that you have to control is now. So I would urge you people to listen here carefully. Those who spend more, they never grow. Or if they grow, it is only if they had taken either loans and they used those loans for good purposes, like starting a business, going back to school, or doing other things. So those people who spend more, they become what we call perennial borrowers. They continually borrow. And they borrow right, left, center. They borrow on what we call the money platforms. You find them in KCB, Mshwari. You find them in what we call Furisa. You find them in Tara. You find them in what we call abnormal loans. You find them in what we call Shylock. You find them in what we call overdrafts. You find them having borrowed money from everybody, including, if they are working in the formal sector, their colleagues. And then what does the Bible say? The borrower is a slave to the lender. So I would urge my friends, those people who are actually watching me out there, kindly note this. Please note this. Borrowing is not bad, but please remember, you must follow some certain rules. Just like we have what we call commandments in the Bible, you must follow certain rules. And what are those rules? I'll just give you two commandments. Cardinal rule number one. Of course, for those people who are Christians, I would urge them first of all to ensure that they pay tithe. Because giving God tithe is not a matter of discussion. It's mandatory anyway. So give tithe if you can. But let's go back to what we call the financial rule. After you have given God tithe, if you have to give God tithe. Today is not the day to talk about tithing, but tithing is very, very important. Let me remind you this, my fellow viewers. Cardinal rule number one, always spend less than you earn. Always spend less than you earn. And those people who will agree with me, please always remember to spend less than you earn. Majority of us people, we spend more than we earn. The moment you spend more money than you earn, you are putting yourself into a very bad situation. Because you'll be in that category of people who spend more than they earn. And the moment you spend more than you earn, I think I have given you the dangers of borrowing money from all quarters. I don't want to mention those other areas that people borrow money from. So what happens is that those people who borrow money and they put their money into right use, they actually improve what we call their status. Their status improves. But those people who spend all the money, they have issues. Because actually they spend more than they earn. Therefore, I've said they are perennial borrowers. That's a situation that we have to avoid. It's not a very good situation. So, why do people now? The question is, and I want to ask you this question. And please, I hope that you'll be able to appreciate this. Those people who become financially independent, those people who become who get to financial freedom my way, they have options. They have options. When you make money, you have got options. Where to stay. You don't just stay anywhere. What to eat, what to dress, the car to drive, where children will go to school. They're not even worried right now to talk about the coronavirus. Why? Because money is coming their way. But those people who don't spend, who spend all now, they're actually panicking. By the time this issue, this pandemic of corona is getting out of our Republic of Kenya, some of us will have suffered from what we call maybe hypertension, others diabetes, others stress and depression-related kind of problems. They have to be subjected to what we call socio-psychopathic structures to help them maybe come out of the woods. But why? Not because we don't have money. Remember, allow me first of all now to go, before we talk about investments, it's a topic that we can't complete today. But today I decided to give you maybe about 30 minutes discussion. It will be continued, we'll agree. But let me tell you this. Now, those people, you can allow me to take a pen, those people who normally earn a salary, they have a paper that they really wait for, which is called a pay slip. This pay slip has got at least, first of all, I'm addressing those people who are employed. Then we'll come to those people who are not employed, the informal sector. We'll discuss them so that you can see where do we get money from, all of us. Now, those people who have a pay slip, their pay slip normally has got what we call 3 entries. Entry number 1 is what we call gross pay. What the employer pays you, what is called the gross income, the gross pay. Then below there, we have what we call the total deductions. What gets deducted from your gross pay. I'll actually be able to highlight a few elements or entries into those deductions. Then number 3 is what people normally call their money, which is called the net pay. Now, let's come to gross pay. Assuming you earn 100,000 shillings. If you earn 100,000 shillings, the government comes in and chops. Now, at the moment, because the government has lowered the tax 20 to 25%. So, your money here is 75,000 shillings. After you have removed what we call the pay as you earn. Next time I'll use a blackboard. Don't you worry. I'll use a blackboard. Now, the 75,000 shillings, we have other statutory deductions. One of them is what we call, now on top of pay, we have what we call National Social Security Fund. Remember that. Then we have what we call the National Hospital Insurance Fund. Remember that. Then we have what we refer to as loans. Those people have got loans with their employers. We have what we call the SACCO deductions. We have the SACCO loan. So what comes into your hands is what we call the net pay. For those people who are employed, it's the net pay. So what is your money? If I may pose a question to you right now, you viewers, what is your money here? We said your gross pay is 100,000 shillings. Note that. Then we came to what we call the total deductions. The statutory deductions among other deductions that we have talked about. Then we come to what we call the net pay. Is gross pay your money really? That is not your money. Why? The deductions have not been made. Is total deductions your money? We'll come to that. Is net pay your money? Many people that I've interviewed in my 28 years career, they normally say that net pay is their money. That is not your money. Net pay is not your money. Get me right tonight. Net pay is not your money. Why? Net pay, note this, is where you get money if you don't have your own house, is where you get money to pay your landlord. Now, when you pay the landlord your money, is that your money really? That is not your money. That money has gone to the landlord. Why? That landlord that you see there are things that he did that most of us people are not doing. So what are you supposed to do to become a landlord? Look at that shortly, in a short while. So you go to the supermarkets. That rich man who is called as the supermarket owner is waiting for your money literally. He's waiting for your money literally. Why? You go shopping to the supermarket. You leave the money there, you carry goods and services. So that is not your money. That money goes to the supermarket owner. That rich supermarket owner. That's not your money. Then you pay Kenya Power. That is not your money. If you happen to be from Nairobi, you pay Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company. If you come from Nyeri, you pay Nyawasco, Nyeri Water and Sewerage Company. If you come from Kiabu Water and Sewerage Company. See, that is not your money. If you're a lady, you go to the salon. You give the money to the salonist. That's not your money. Mama Boga, Mama what? Naguo. So you see, net pay is not your money. So basically your money is what we call total deductions. So your strength is not in your net pay. Your strength is in your total deductions. So I would urge you to always think about that. Total deductions is your strength. So if you're, I can see majority of you people are viewing me. I can see Mary Maria watching me from USA. Say hi to Mr. Gekonyo, my old friend who used to work at National Hospital Insurance Fund. I'll come to a number, I would recognize a number of you people that I'm watching, but I'm coming to what we call, so I've told you, total deductions is your money, not your net pay. And I hope we are all in agreement that net pay basically is money that you keep safe for other people. You are actually the bridge, the conduit that takes money to those other people. And I ask, if you drive a car, you go to a petrol station, you fuel your car, that is not your money. But remember that supermarket, that petrol station owner did something that most of us people are not doing. And I will urge you people, the biggest mistake that we do, many Kenyans, we admire other people, but we don't go deeper to ask, how did they become the people they are today? There are things that they did, and I've been telling people, no matter where you are, the compass must always point to the north. So it doesn't matter where you are, the compass must always point to the north. What does that mean? What does that one mean? There are some conventional principles that must be followed in order for us people to get what we call our return on investment and to become the rich people that we admire. Remember, majority of people admire products, but they never like embracing the process. We must embrace the process. We say, no pain, no gain. If you find me driving a good car, if you find me being called a doctor, I burnt the midnight oil to become a doctor. That time, you are practically sleeping in your bed, maybe after all, enjoying with your spouse. So the only thing that you can show are maybe the outcomes that come as a result of that particular enjoyment. But in terms of growth, nil. I'm not saying it's bad to go anyway, but what I'm saying is this. There are things that those people do that we don't do. So allow me, first of all, as we continue now first, those are the people who are employed, people who have a pay slip. And let me remind you something before I go to the informal people, those people who make their money either by running their own businesses or either, running their own businesses, no matter the magnitude of the business, I'll come to that. Whether you roast maize, whether you make motulas, whether you're a border person, you're a mama boga, you're a salon, I'm coming to you shortly. Relax, my brother. My sister, relax. Jesse Joroge, relax, I'm coming to you. Lesha Wangari, all the way from UK, Birmingham, I salute you. My sister, relax. Now, let me remind you people one thing. Now, if you have a payslip, your payslip basically is a parachute. And when is a parachute important? A parachute is only important when the aircraft is airborne. The moment the aircraft touches the runway, the payslip becomes useless. Let me now simplify it for those people who are watching me. Your payslip is important when you're working, but when you retire, that payslip will be rendered useless. So your payslip now is your parachute. And a parachute is basically a tool used to save somebody in the event the aircraft develops what we call mechanical problems. So it can land you safely on earth. So use your payslip now, borrow your money wisely, spend your money wisely. I'm going to give you 20 laws, 20 commandments of finances at the tail end of this discussion. But please use your payslip properly. And then, please, I'm going to tell you 5 don'ts, 5 do's and 5 don'ts as we move on. Let me go fast forward to the informal. I hope you have addressed that one, Dr. Morage Eustace, my former classmate at Gathadine High School, box 236 Nyeri, and our principal was Mr. Erastus Munyere Wairagu, and we thank God for him. And the deputy was the late Jeremiah Motubarohio. May he rest in peace. Let's go to the informal. Those people who are in the informal sector, you are the ones who normally make money out of your own either hands or by actually doing a few things that you have done. Let's first of all come to a landlord. A landlord normally collects what we call, normally collects what we refer to as rent from the clients. So rent is the income. A shoe shiner, once he shines the shoes, he normally gets paid. That is the income. The matatu driver, the moment you move a passenger from one point to another, you collect what we call the fare, that is your income. If, for instance, you own a kinyosi, after you shave people, that is the income that you make. We move on. If, for instance, you sell cabbages, you sell tomatoes, you sell carrots, the money that you get after, of course, after you have done a few calculations, of course, there's what you call the cost of sales and what have you. Whatever comes as your profit, net profit, is what we call the income that I'm talking about. Mr. John Mwangi, hope you're watching me from Sagana. I can see you watching me from Sagana. Thank you so much. Susan Geduk, you're watching me. Nicholas Bogo, you're watching me. I'm very, very happy. Let's continue in our class. Now, what happens is this. The amount of money that you make, money, whether you are paid by the employer or you make your own money, money is money, basically. But one of the things that will make a difference is how you spend the money that you make. So the income that comes from the two angles, either from the formal or the informal sector, what will make a clear distinction between you people is purely how you spend your money. So here I am. So one of the things that we must do is that we must budget our money. We said we make money to create wealth. But how do we create our wealth? And even before I forget, now, why do we make money? Why do I make money personally? I have got children to educate. So one of the things that I do, I make money to educate my children. Then, after I've made money, I require to invest that money so that I can be enjoying what we call returns on investment. And I remember before I forget, although I'm a teacher, I will not forget what I've said. Thank you so very much, Mercy Johnson. Thank you very much for watching me. From all the way from Saudi Arabia. Sambaro Muirore, thank you very much, my boss. I'll talk about you later on. Thank you very much, John K. Team. Thank you very much for watching me. I hope you are learning something. We come to this aspect of, I have said, whether it does not matter first of all, whether you're a billionaire, a trillionaire, a billionaire, a millionaire, or you are actually a thousandaire or a hundredaire for that matter, if those words do exist. But why do we make money? Whether my children goes to Peponi, for instance, I pay school fees. Whether they go to St. Andrew's Tuli, I pay school fees. No matter my status, because there is no way that my daughter will be given that education, will be infused that education. it has to go through a process. So that process, you have to pay school fees. So in the process of, we talked about creating wealth. Thank you so much, Madam Sawe Wangoi. I'm seeing you watching me all the way from Baringo. I'm very, very happy. So what I'm saying is this. So whether you're a rich man or a modest man, you pay school fees. So you make money so that you may be able to meet this particular obligation of paying school fees for your children. So wealth, we can talk about, so we are creating wealth to enable us people pay school fees for our children. So one of the things that makes us people to make money and to create wealth is to be able to educate our children in good schools if we can afford. There is nobody who would hate his or her child to go to the best school, including the IGCSE schools. So we require money to educate our children. But the question is, most of us people, we have this thinking that things will remain the way they are. Nobody has the capacity, nobody, whether you are the king, the queen, or whoever you are, whether you're the prime minister or whoever you are. Thank you so much, Jane Morio, I can see you. Joseph Jologe, I can see you. Bishop Jologe, Peter Kalaja, thank you very much. But what I'm saying is this, you require to pay school fees for your child. And because nobody has control over tomorrow, why do we require to invest money? Then now, please keep underlining why now, I thought about this particular topic today. You require to invest this money because you may die anyway. People fear dying, but the Bible says in the book of Hebrews 5:26, it's appointed one day anybody born of a woman to die. If you go to Langata Cemetery, we have got so many people lying there. Some of them were billionaires. Some of them, they were cremated there. So you see, the question is, have you been able to lay a foundation that can provide financial foundation that can provide school fees for your children in your absence? And I've been asking people this question many times. I have this problem of people saying that you have a piece of land. Now, assuming you have a piece of land now, who is willing to buy? Even if you actually advertised, people will come buying it at a very lower price because they know you're in dire need of money. Remember the issue of supply and demand. So money, so saying that you have a piece of land is not sufficient. So I'm saying, without actually necessarily expounding on this, you require to put a structure that can be able to provide school fees for your children, even if you are recorded in heaven for further employment by your maker. Now, investments. So education is key. So we create wealth to educate our children. We create wealth to be able to go to hospital, not just a hospital when you get sick. Now look at what has been happening in Kenya before the COVID-19 came. Our leaders, anytime they have a medical issue, this is what we call the medical tourism. India has been receiving so many Kenyans. I have no problem with that because the status on the ground demanded so. So you require money. And let me tell you something, you might have worked for 30 years, but a single illness can actually deplete your resources completely. We have seen people even here in Kenya, people who spend 4, 5, 10 million shillings. We have even had a story the other day of a very young person who died in one of the hospitals and they had a bill of 18 million shillings. I think the body is still lying in their mortuary, in their morgue right now as we speak. So you see, you require to have a medical scheme. So a good person with his investments, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Karaja, watching me all the way from Doha, Qatar. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, Jockey RX from Kitengera. Thank you so much. So what I'm saying is this, you require to have a medical scheme. And some people are so funny, they do what we call retain their risk. You don't have to retain your risk. We have mechanisms that can help you even have a 50 million medical scheme, 10 million medical scheme comfortably at a very cheap price. We'll discuss that as we move on. So once you have educated your children, once you have taken care of your medical, you have taken care of your family members, you require to have what we call protection. You require to protect your wealth. How do you go buying Bentley? You buy what we call Bentley car, which goes at about 20 million or 30 million shillings, and then you actually don't take care of that particular machine that you bought. You have built a house worth 50 million shillings. You can't retain that risk. Even the rich, they want to get more and more. They want to get richer. So you require to ensure that you protect your wealth. And how do you protect your wealth? Before I go back to investments, you protect your wealth, one, by ensuring that you have insured that particular property that you have. If you have built a house worth 100 million shillings, surely, it took you time and energy, you exerted that time and energy to be able to make 100 million shillings. Why not take an insurance cover for that matter, so that your property, in case of an unforeseen eventuality, you can be able to have your money back. So protection comes in. Now, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Mr. Peter Kemodo, my friend, James Gweri. Thank you very much for watching me wherever you are. Thank you very much, Masawa Home, Liz Chane, I can see you. James Gweri, my friend, I can see you. What I'm saying is this. So we have said Number one, let me go back to the 2 points before you go into investments. And of course, I've got very few minutes before the show comes to an end. But of course, I'll give you a few tips. Now, we said you must follow 2 commandments. And I gave you the 2 commandments. Spend less than you earn. Rule number 1. Cardinal rule number 1. Please remember that all the days of your life. Those people who are rich, I'm going to give you the characteristics of rich people and poor people. They have a whole distinction. Then rule number 2, learn to pay yourself first. Please note this, and I'm saying it as an educationist. I hope all of you are aware that I'm an educationist. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Kibicho. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Kibicho. That's my brother watching me from Nyeri. Number 1, please note this. I have said, learn to pay yourself first. When you educate your son or your daughter, that is not your investment. This is where many parents make mistakes. Mr. Samuel Shege, when you educate your son, that is not your investment. As a matter of fact, your parents educated you, but how much money do you give them every month? When you are preparing your budget, I'm coming to budgeting very soon. You normally say number 1 for those people who live on rented premises. Number 1, house rent. Number 2, Kenya Power. Number 3 for ladies, house girl. Number 4, salon. Number 5, you come to what we call maybe Nairobi water. Number 6, actually A or B is where your mother or your father comes in for those who have parents. And when you hear the A or B, they were not actually priority in your planning. So you are educating your son or your daughter because you brought that son or daughter into this universe. You were not asked by anybody. Nobody forced you. So remember, I'm telling you, educating your son or your daughter is not an investment for you. It is the investment. So please remember, you have to learn to pay yourself first. When you pay school fees to that school that your son or your child goes to, then you pay school fees, the child gets what we call the knowledge and the skills, but money goes. So that is not your money, after all. So you have to learn to pay yourself first. Now, I want us to discuss a few things now about budgeting, so that we can see what we require to do. And remember, budgeting involves everybody. Whether you are a multi-millionaire, whether you are a billionaire, whoever you are, budgeting involves everybody. Why? Why am I saying that budgeting involves everybody? It is because even Kenya as a nation, for information for those people who are very keen, the Minister for Finance, Ukuria Atani, has actually proposed that she'll have a budget of 3.9 trillion Kenya shillings. So if Kenya budgets, what about you? You're required to budget. After all, let me remind you this. We have seen people who have had a lot of money in their lives, but today they are paupers. They are poor. Let me give you a case scenario. I'll not mention the name of this individual because I'm a professional. I'm a lawyer, and I don't want to create what we call a lacuna, a legal gap for that matter. I was working in Meru in the year 1996 when I had a small car. I was driving a small car that time. For those people who know me, KYD 462 Nissan Sunny, Beijing Kara, local. That time when I was working in Shuka, in a place called Gofo, there used to be a very rich man who used to have so many lorries actually. He was a very serious transporter. But upon his death, everything was auctioned. The sons who used to drive big cars, they now walk like animals. So don't think that you have a lot of money that you don't require to budget and to invest. So what is budgeting? Now, many Kenyans make a mistake of assuming that budgeting, after you go to the shop, you buy whatever you wanted to buy, you come home and you start now lighting whatever you bought. That is what we call listing. That is not budgeting. Budgeting means the government of Kenya is actually budgeting for 2020-2021 financial year. So, where will we take, how many areas do we need to look at, and how much money do we require to apportion to each ministry? So the first question is, how much do we have? How much do I earn? If you earn 1 million shillings, fine, if you earn 50,000 shillings, and you don't own a house of your own, you start by saying, house rent, 10,000 shillings. I'm only giving an example, 10,000 Kenya shillings. Thank you so much, Paul Wine. Thank you so much, again, Leisha, I can see you're still watching me and I'm happy. I hope you're learning something today. So you say 10,000 shillings goes to the landlord. Then you come here, you say 10,000 shillings goes to what we call food, water, electricity, among other amenities in the house. Then, Now, paying yourself first means, I take you back to what we call the total deductions. If you have an investment of any kind, either you have put your money into the money market or collective investment services or vehicles for that matter, let it be there. You don't invest what remains. And I repeat, you don't invest what remains. Investment money must be part of your bigger budget, not A or B. So now what remains, remember I have already told you that the amount of money that you put into your investment vehicle is not what we call the keep change. No. It's actually an item on its own within your budget. For those people who earn, who are employed, we have channels of you putting money. Because let me tell you, money's worst enemy is you. The enemy for money, the worst enemy for money is you. And I repeat again, you are the money's worst enemy. So one of the things that you must ensure is that whatever comes into your hearts, whatever remains into your hearts, you have already invested your money properly now, including your investment vehicle. So what comes into your heart is what we call surplus. Now surplus, you can do whatever you want to do with it. But in terms of investment, your money was a major item in your budget. So budgeting helps us people to know, where do we put our priorities on? Where do I put this money on? If it is school fees for my children, how much am I putting it aside? How much am I putting aside for my children? If it is putting money for a mortgage, how much am I putting that money aside? So first of all, budget your money. Now, after you have budgeted your money, now we come to a very important aspect now on investments. You need to ask yourself, how do I now invest? How to invest my money now? We are coming to a very important area. What determines where to invest your money? Now, what determines where to invest your money will be dictated by a number of factors. Number one, where do you want to invest your money? Some people say real estate. The question is, fine, real estate is good. But for you to put your money into real estate, you require a very heavy capital outlay. You require to have identified land, and of course not only identifying but acquiring it. Number two, you require to have money to put up maybe 1 or 2 buildings that will start kick off or kickstart the project of real estate. But remember, we have people watching me over there who have got that money. Real estate is good, but we'll look at it now. I'm only first for highlighting areas that you need to put your money in. And please, you must also draw a distinction between an investment and a speculation. And as a matter of fact, viewers, I have written a book, which is actually my publisher, which is called Understanding Investments. I think it will be my 8th book, Understanding Investments. So you see, investments and speculation, sometimes they are actually heaped at the joint. Because basically when you buy shares, or you come to that, or when you buy a piece of land somewhere, and I'm also here in Kenya, because people in Kenya, the moment they hear that there will be a bypass, that's where they go. That's where they latch. They actually, it's what you call a latch. That's where they normally land. You need to appreciate that it is actually speculation and investments. They are cousins, because you speculate. But let's go to the most important thing before I actually bring this discussion to an end. So what determines, number one, is what we call the risk element. Are you a risk taker, or are you risk averse? There are people who like playing it safe free. Those people who play it safe, okay, they make money, but they make very little money. There are people who have got what we call high appetite for risk. These people, when their business deal goes through, they make a lot of money. So you can actually decide now which investment you want to go to, depending on number one, on the risk level. Number two, the capital outlay. Number three, the investment type that you want to put your money in. There are those people who want to buy what we call shares. There are those people who want to buy to start what we call real estate. There are those people who want to go into business. There are those people who want to put their money into what we call forex, foreign exchange business. There are those people who want to go into what we call offshore investment. All those are options. There are those people who go into what we call big projects. We look at that also. But allow me to say this. Allow me to say this. Now, what will determine where you need to put your money will be dependent on a number of things. One, I have said, how much money do you have? Thank you so much, Madam Mother Morioki. Thank you so much, Jane Kaigwa. Thank you so much once again, Paulo. I'm still watching you and I'm happy. Thank you for keeping company. Investment is basically a process. It's an organized view of the investment process, which involves analyzing the basic nature of investment that you want to put your money on, and of course organizing activities towards that particular decision process. So one of the things that you must know is that we have what we call characteristics of investments. This thing will continue. Number one, you look at what we call the return. So one of the things that you look for now, we are coming now to what we call to the cream of the discussion tonight. And I thank you very much for keeping me company. Now, one of the things that you must know, you have to look at is what we call the risk element. All investments, people have what we call expectation for a return. So investments are made with one primary objective of getting what we call return. And the expectations come from what we call the amount of money that you have put so that you may get what we call a yield from that particular investment. Therefore, capital injection is required. The other thing that you look at is what we call the risk element. Risk element is key. Risk is an inherent, it's actually available, it's inherent in any type of an investment. And remember, anything can happen. I said nobody has control over tomorrow. Nobody has control. You can't hold things constant. I have a problem with my other scholars when they talk about ceteris paribus. You can't hold things constant. Then the issue of safety. So I have talked about return, I've talked about risk, I've talked about safety, and the element of you being a risk taker. Now, then the issue of liquidity. Where are you putting your money? So I have given 4 things. One is what we call return, risk, safety, and liquidity. Those are things that we shall continue now in our next episode. But before I sign off, first of all, I want to thank all of you for having watched me. I will not be able to continue because it's almost an hour now. And I thought it will be a continuous series. But allow me first of all to thank all of you people who took your time to watch me. I am more than willing to continually share with you this information because God enabled me to go to school. This fight has been everything by virtue of God, so I'll be able to give you a lot of information as we move on. So stay tuned. But before I do that, so I've told you we shall now continue on the types of investments. But I've told you what to consider before you put your money into an investment vehicle. I've given you the element of return, risk, safety, and liquidity. We'll discuss more. But before I forget, allow me to give you at least maybe 10 commandments of money. 10 commandments of money. Then from there we shall continue, God willing. Thank you so much. Those people who are watching me from all over. Maurice Kenywa, Jane Kaigua, Peter Kibicho, from Nyeri. I can see people like Josiah Karaoke. I can see people like Zipe. There are quite a number of people. Thank you so much for keeping company. Now, let me say this. Ladies and gentlemen, rule number 1. If you're a Christian, please remember to give God his portion. Pay tithe. And I repeat it, pay tithe. Those people who pay tithe, the benefit of paying tithe, whatever, remember, God is so good. God is so good. Even in the book of Malachi chapter 3, he only says, give me 10%. Only 10%. He is leaving you the bigger portion of 90%. So give God what is his. Rule number 2. I have said, spend less than you earn. At all times, spend less than you earn. Rule number 3. Learn to pay yourself first. Rule number 4. Always budget. Rule number 5, never ever go to the supermarket hungry. Remember nowadays supermarkets have got what we call kitchen at their doorstep with very sumptuous food. That is making you disorient your budget. So never ever go to the supermarket hungry. Thank you so much, Rose Nimo, Jane Morio, Rose Nimo again. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Rule number 6, always carry a shopping list. Please, please, and I beseech you, carry a shopping list and stick to it. I have seen overwhelmingly results out of that. Rule number 7, avoid buying goods and services from a convenience shop. What is a convenience shop? When you go to a petrol station, there's normally a small shop at the side. If you go there to buy what we call unga, it is normally 30% higher than you could have bought it from a supermarket. The only thing that you can buy from there is the newspaper or the airtime because that is the price is standard across the board. So avoid buying things from a convenience shop. Rule number 8, develop mobile calling ethics. I have no problem with those companies, telecommunication companies making billions, but Kenyans have a very queer behavior. In fact, as a matter of fact, one of the service providers has declared their profit this week of 1 billion shillings. The question is, when you're making those calls, are they beneficial to you? Avoid giving testimonies on the phone. Avoid giving testimonies on the phone. Avoid giving a lot of information that is not relevant. Only call when it is necessary. You find somebody calling somebody in Nyahururu, for instance. Hello, how are you? Peter, how are you? This is Kibicho calling from here. Has it trained in Nyahururu? You don't have a piece of land in Nyahururu. What is that call for? That is actually spending money in a very unnecessary manner. If somebody beeps you, please, James Guiri, if somebody beeps you, don't call back. He's the person who needs you. So why should you finance a call for somebody who had an interest in getting some information from you? Only call back if it is your wife, your husband, your children, or your parents. But don't just call back. Avoid being online. Let me tell you, if there is a moment people are spending their hard-earned money, it is this time during the COVID-19, although even before they were spending that money. You want to follow, you go on WhatsApp, people like sending forwards. This is not an exam that you're doing. Just look at what the content, is it adding any value to you? Remember you're spending money that you have earned, and you have no investment in the first place, and you're spending that money. That is not right. So develop mobile calling ethics. Now, rule number 9, before buying a major item, either a car, a piece of land, a house, it is very, very important, first of all, you do what we call due diligence. Due diligence means what? If you are buying a piece of land, it is important that you take yourself even to the land's office. And if preferably, be accompanied by a lawyer or somebody who has what we call the information pertaining to the purchase of land. We have seen people who have lost their lifetime earnings to what we call scams. So please, before buying a major item, please, like land, house, do due diligence. Now, before again buying, for instance, a car, that is a school bus or even another car, even a house, please we do shopping. Don't just go to one motor bazaar and you stick there and you buy. No, compare prices. You never know how much you may save out of that. So please do that. Rule number 10, and I think I'll give you up to rule number 10, always make sure in your lifetime you have a financial dream. A financial dream is what we call the power of concentration. And never lead a life without a dream. So have a financial dream. Where do you see yourself in 10 years in terms of financial management, in terms of financial growth, in terms of actually achieving what we call the financial freedom or the financial independence? And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, let me stop it at that and remind you, organize now or agonize later. This session will continue. I'll be posting it on my status on my WhatsApp when you shall continue, so that I can be able now to give you the various types of investments. You see where you fit and what you need to consider also. Remember what you have said today, and I'll be able to communicate to you. Thank you so much for watching me. My name is Dr. Paul Kibicho. For those people who may want to know more about what I do, please note this. I run an office. I have an office at Top Blast House, that is along Outer Ring Road, Ruaraka, first floor. You can always find me there. I'm at the moment giving people what we call individual consultation, personal consultation, where you come, I sit down with you and take you through tete-a-tete, step by step on the things that you need to do, so that you may enjoy you enjoy a good life. Thank you so much, Igadu Kenyajui. God never created you to remain poor. By the way, God doesn't like poverty. God doesn't like poverty. Thank you so much, Mwadu Blighton. You can't keep walking forever. Only animals were meant to walk forever. You can't continually staying in a landlord's house. For how long will you stay in? Yes, we all started from there. You can't lead your life staying in a landlord's house. Fine, you can stay in a landlord's house. If, for instance, and I give you this tip, like the house I live in, if somebody can come and give me 50 million shillings, I can sell it, fine. Look for a house of 10 million shillings, or maybe a house that will be paying 5,000 shillings. Meanwhile, I'm looking for avenues of investing that money. I'll tell you how to do that. So please, come to my office, that is at Top Blast House, next to Naivas Supermarket along Outer Ring Road, Ruaraka. You can even call my PA, executive PA, who will be able to guide you more. And at this COVID-19 period, I'm giving you people a discount. Come interact with me. 28 years of experience, PhD in Business and Finance, Bachelor of Laws degree, MBA in the same field, Business Administration, BBA, Postgraduate in Business Management. I'm a theologian, I'm a preacher, I'm an author, I've written several books. I'm a motivational speaker. Kindly come, we discuss. I'm more than willing to give you more. So you can call my PA, Madam Mary, on 0713 0713-530-465. You'll be guided more. Please come over. You can even call me. You can consult me through calling. Thank you so much, K.I. Iwajiko, Beth Gashoka, I can see you, Jockey RX. Thank you so much for keeping your eyes. I want people to become financially independent. I want you to drive that car. Don't keep on admiring that person's car. Create the sound financial base. Drive a good car. Live in a good suburb. Stay in your own compound. Dress nicely. Take a flight. Not necessarily medical tourism. No, please. Take a flight. Go to Venice in Vienna, Austria. See in Italy. See how that place is. It's a nice place. Go to Vienna, Austria. From there, go to Paris. Go to Belgium. Go to Switzerland. Go to Netherlands. Enjoy life because you only live once. After all, when you go that 6 feet under, you shall only come and say he was, but that will be past tense. So enjoy life while it lasts. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, my PA's number is 0713-530-465. Stay tuned. I'll be giving you more details. We shall now come and discuss on the various methods of investments and where to invest your money in, depending on your income, your effort, and I know God will bless us. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. Before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Anne Benes. Let me tell you this. Please, 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 let me talk about COVID-19 for a minute. It is actually a matter that involves money. Me, I talk about money throughout. And remember, money means what? The acronym money means man on nature, enjoy yourself. Money. Man on nature, enjoy yourself. And I told you the other day what acronym POOR means. POOR means passing over opportunities repeatedly. POOR. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. As we move on, I'll be giving even another topic which is called realizing your purpose in this world. Because this man who passed on the other day, who actually left a very big mark by the name Dr. Miles Munro, he was my mentor. He was saying that the greatest tragedy in people's lives is not death, but leading a life without purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, organize now or agonize later. It was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you so much, Master Johnson, among others. My PA number is my, sorry, I can see somebody making some, Shiko Jogona, thank you so much for watching.